Well, a very warm welcome to another episode of Fauza's Diary. If you are looking for something little and yet inspiring, then you have stumbled upon the right show. That's the beauty about my diaries. They inspire us, they encourage us, but also they make us think to see what is out there. What are what are the needs in our community? What are the needs in our society? And what can we do to be of service to one another? Joining me today on this conversation is my sister friend, a woman who has traveled an awesome journey, if I may say so, Dr. Sharon. She's joining me right here from home, United Arab Emirates, Dubai, but she is original from the Philippines. I call her my Maganda. Maganda in Tagalog, it means beautiful. She is my beauty on this diary today. Dr. Sharon, welcome. Please introduce yourself a little bit to our viewers.
Good morning, everyone, or I may say greetings, everyone from all over the world. And first, I would like to say thank you to my maganda sister for giving me this opportunity to be part of her creative pausa video. Okay, that basically brings out a lot of different stories and inspire other people as well. Thank you so much, my dear Maganda. I'm so deeply humbled and honored with this session that we have this morning.
No, thank you to you. I love what when before we went on live, before we started this recording, you said something that was so profound for me, that we are living on such a time where social media is everybody is online, and what a privilege for me actually to have to bring you on this platform, Dr. Sharon, so that you can share your journey and how far God has brought you. Because when I was going through your bio, you have gone through quite a lot of journey on this earth, that it made me look back at you and said, I thank God for Dr. Sharon, because despite the journey she has traveled, she has come out on the other side a victor. That is so profound. And I want us to start with the work that you do at Skyland University College in United Arab Emirates, because I know you are one of the assistant professor. If you could tell us a bit about your work at the Skyland University, Dr. Sharon.
Thank you, Maganda. My work at Skyline University College is I'm an assistant professor. So basically, as a professor, we have three main functions. Of course, the first one is teaching, okay, imparting knowledge to our students and also to other people as well and other stakeholders. The second one is the research, okay. We have to do a lot of research. We need to publish research paper or articles, 2 articles every year. That's why they said publish. If you don't publish, you will perish. That is what is in the academy right now. So it's actually good writing a research paper, because though what is being required is when we're going to write a paper, it has to be in our own field of specialization, which in my case, I'm in public administration and human resources. But since I survived cancer, all right, I spoke to the management and I was really very frank and honest with them, that I told them that I want to write a research paper which is in line to my advocacy, because I know being a survivor is a second gift of life from
Amen.
God.
Amen.
Yes. So God has a purpose. God has a purpose. First, why he put me in the academy. Second, okay, why he have given me another life? Because
Mm,
he is actually using my profession as a professor in order for me to do my advocacy on breast cancer and even for domestic violence as
mm,
well.
mhm,
So I collaborated a research paper with my sons,
mhm,
okay, and we have published several articles, research articles. One of this is female breast cancer as a taboo, because it's a taboo, regardless whatever nationality, Western or Asian or from Africa, it's still considered a taboo. You will be surprised with the data once you're going to read it.
mm,
Okay, so another one is a travel motivation for cancer patients and survivors. So those are the two articles basically that we have written in relation to my advocacy. I asked them just to allow me because I know that God is using me, my profession, to
mm,
to basically how do you call this? Give lectures, give breast cancer workshop, okay, to the people. And for me, if I am going to do it,
mhm,
I need to have a first-hand research where I can totally give the most authentic data to my audience or to my
mhm,
participants. So that's the reason why they basically allow me, because it will lead into the third functions that we basically do in the academy is community services.
right, right,
Yes. So there is a link between the teaching, the research, and the community services. So that is how exactly we are actually doing or performing our tasks in the academy. And you know what? I want to tell you something. There
mhm,
is no perfect organization in this world.
mm,
No perfect. But I am so deeply touched with the management, with my colleague, even with my students, that when they heard,
mm,
okay, that I have a stage 3 breast cancer, believe me, all kind of support, 100%, they actually gave it to me.
mm.
They have given it to me: insurance, financial support, moral support, so I may say that I am actually really, really blessed to
Mm.
the college where I am working right now.
That is powerful. And I love the correlation that you have said, academics, it's just not about, teaching, but it's also the community work and, all the research that you do, which actually now, I will get back to you regarding your journey, with your journey with cancer. But I wanted, since you mentioned something to do with community work and all that, based on the work that you, as assistant professor at Skyland University College. At the moment, Dr. Sharon, there has been just a lot going on, and COVID has disrupted everything. We've all had to adjust ourselves, in our homes, in, those who are employed, our children, like my son has been studying from home for a little while until just recently. So we've had to adjust. And I'm just curious because you've spoken about community service, that it's one of the things that, you value, as a assistant professor. So how has it been for you at Skyland College then during this season that we are in, and all the disruption and the changes that we've had to adjust into?
You know what? Again, the college has a very strong community services programs. Okay. So I may mention that we also have been actively participating in some of the government's tree planting programs. All right. Our students and even top management, they participated in that. And another thing is my colleague in our community services team, he is actually doing a lecture in the prison, the prisoners. Okay.
Yes,
And then,
yes,
yes, because the purpose is there is you educate them, you give them
right.
certificate. By the time they go out, they have something,
Right.
Yes,
Wow.
they have,
Wow.
yes, they have something. Yes.
Oh. Oh.
Yes, that's really very true because we don't only teach them on something basic, we also teach them about how to use your finances properly because we have professors in different field of specialization. So those are some of the examples that we basically do for our community services. Nonetheless, in my case, for my advocacy on the breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
with this with the current pandemic that we are actually having right now, obviously there is a limitation. I cannot
Right.
do the same activity that I have to visit different schools,
Mm-hmm.
different corporate industries wherein I can personally do a breast cancer workshop. But
Mm-hmm.
because of the limitation that we are actually having right now face to face, the social media or other form of information technology platform, it actually did not stop us from doing our my advocacy. What I
Right.
basically did, I collaborated with other two more professors,
Mm.
right? And we come up with a year-round health campaign.
Okay.
Yes. So October, I spearheaded the breast cancer
Mm-hmm.
awareness program where we have collaboration with a college or a university in Nigeria, which is Skyline University in Nigeria, and
Mm-hmm.
also one college in the Philippines, Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Colleges. So I collaborated with these two academic institutions, and we were able to successfully have that breast cancer awareness program last October.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it has been participated with many people around the world as well. Then, with my surprise, one of my colleagues, his husband basically died of cancer. She
Mm-hmm.
came to me and she says, "Doctor, I want to do an advocacy for cancer also." So
Mm-hmm.
after my advocacy on after my webinar on the breast cancer, the next semester we schedule her ovarian and cervical cancer awareness also, which she did collaborated with one college in Kuwait also.
Okay.
Yes. And another professor, he will be having his webinar on lung and prostate cancer towards the end of this month. So we decided that every semester we need to do a health webinar. So it
Mm-hmm.
will have a year-round activity so that our advocacy,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a continuity on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I really do. And yeah, it takes a lot of love and humility, for someone to actually do all these things, Dr. Sharon. And you have committed quite a lot of your time and energy and resources to bring awareness to the journey that you have actually traveled, because I always find that it comes easier when we share the experiences that we have experienced ourselves, because that's the story that we can tell, isn't it? And we can tell it to the best of our knowledge. Now, so you are a cancer survivor. You are devoting your time to empowering others, those who they have loved ones who have gone through it, or they're in the journey themselves. How did this
Yeah.
journey change your life, Sharon?
Oh, if there is more than 360 degrees, I may say that's it. 360 degrees. You see, I'm going to tell you how my journey on this cancer. Um, like I said, when my son and I collaborated with a research paper on the female breast cancer as a taboo, okay?
Mm,
cultural factors and awareness among the patients and their families as well, we basically found out that a lot of women, okay, are actually hiding this
Oh.
kind. Yes, you see, in one of the literature that we basically have read, even in Singapore, which is already a highly developed country, okay, uh, what basically happened is that in Singapore, they have this kind of attitude that because they love their family so much and they don't want their family to hurt them or to worry about them, so they try to keep they basically try to keep, you know, the kind of illnesses that they basically have. So imagine they are already in a highly developed country. How much more on those developing
Yeah.
countries, right? So that is actually the reason that I came out and shared my story, because I want people
Mm-hmm.
to have a realization, first things first, that
Mm-hmm.
whatever illnesses you basically have, I'm going to say it in my experience, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be in a spiritual context because it motivates me, maganda. Okay?
That's
Yes, it
yeah, that's good.
motivates me because in the
Yeah.
spiritual context, it says that when our Creator
Yeah.
is giving you this kind of serious illnesses, people actually fail to understand that He is actually cleansing you.
Oh, Sharon.
Yes, He is actually cleansing you because He loves you so much that he wants, or she or he wants you to be prepared that when you are going to face him on the day of your death, you are totally cleansed. And not only that you are totally cleansed, Almighty Creator have prepared such a beautiful paradise for you in the afterlife. So the
Yeah.
point in here is that when we hear the word death, people started to, you know, shall we not talk about it? Because there is a fear within them.
Yes,
That's
yes,
why
there
we
is.
should talk about death. But in fact, when you talk of death, it is something that you need to look forward, because that is the day when you are going to face our Almighty Creator. What else you can ask for? We all do die, correct? And we
Yes,
all do go back to Him. So
yes.
why? The point here is that fear is in there because there's no acceptance
Mm,
of what is happening in their life.
right.
People don't accept that they are having cancer. Denial is there. So the moment you have this kind of feeling of denial, did
Mhm.
you know that it will also affect the treatment?
And your immune system.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
correct. Because you are
Oh,
building too much negativity within yourself.
body. Right.
So the first things first, I always tell this to my talk, that the first
Mm-hmm.
things first that you need to do, if you basically wanted to
Mm-hmm.
live a healthy life, physically, mentally, emotionally, is first things first, acceptance, okay, the faith that we have in our Almighty Creator, and most importantly, that many of the people actually failed to forget this.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself.
That is.
Ask forgiveness to your own self. When I had my cancer, especially now with this pandemic, I have so much realization in the life. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of how do you call the sharing of blessings or community
Yes,
services.
community
But there are
services.
times, yes, but there are times that why still I feel so much empty.
Mm,
Realization is because I failed to do self compassion. I failed to love myself. Because
mm.
you see, how can you love others
If you
when
don't
you
love
don't
yourself.
have full love within
Mm-hmm.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? It has
Absolutely.
to be within yourself, that it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be overflowing with care,
Flowing.
with love, with kindness in order for you to give to other people. So if you don't have that kind
Mm-hmm.
of self-compassion, self-love, self-kindness,
Mm.
no matter how you do a lot of blessings, sharing of blessings, there's still an emptiness
Yes, there will there
because you failed. Yes, you failed.
yes.
First things first about yourself. It's not being selfish. It's not being selfish, okay? But
Yeah.
it is about acknowledging that God created us and we need to love what God have given us before we can share to other people.
That is so powerful. I mean, love, self-acceptance. It's something that I have had to learn to do for Fauza as well. And sometimes I think when you have experienced something, when you've gone through a journey in your life, that experience is what makes you want to do the things that you do. You know, you are devoting your time to talking, creating awareness and doing all those talks and webinars and for about breast cancer. Other people, if you have been in an abusive home, or you've been rejected, you talk about that kind of that journey. So I realized that our stories, we share our stories based on the journey that we have traveled. However, you cannot pour from an empty cup, can we? We cannot pour from an empty cup. So self-love, self-care, it is so fundamental. I think for me, it's something that you have to guard it so jealously, because if your cup is not filled, if your cup is not overflowing, how are you going to pour to other people? Right?
True, true. And don't forget self-forgiveness.
And forgiveness, absolutely.
Yes,
Forgiveness
yes,
is the
yes.
birth of freedom. Oh my
Yes,
God.
that's really very true. You need to ask forgiveness to your own self first before you ask forgiveness to
Yes,
others.
Dr. Sharon, that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that sometimes we are quick to ask for forgiveness from the other people that maybe we've wronged them or they have wronged us, isn't it? Especially if you are so inclined with God, you always, because we've been told that we need to ask for forgiveness and repent for our sins, isn't it? Sometimes we do that, but we don't forgive ourselves,
True.
also. And for me, with personal experience, personal journey, is the fact that sometimes you are willing to ask for forgiveness to that party, that person, but they're not even willing to forgive you. So
Mhm.
then you need to be in a position to be able to forgive yourself and be okay with the choices that the other person has made of not forgiving you.
That's true. I agree with you because you see, for so many, many years, like I said, I always says that I'm fine. I already survived cancer. I'm a single mother. Okay.
Mhm.
I already have forgiven my ex's husband. All right.
Yeah.
And, there's still something within me that the pain, I still feel pain. The hurt is in there. And then I started to basically try to contemplate. And that is when I realizes that there is still something in my heart that I kept. Okay.
Mm.
And that is the reason why last year in the event that we basically have, though I know it was difficult for me to share it to everyone, but that is the only way for me to do it. And I shared to everyone that on this very day, talking in front of you,
Mhm.
I would like to ask forgiveness for myself because I have kept this kind of pain in my heart for so many years. Because at the age of 8 or 9 years old, someone physically abused me. And on that particular day, I know that he's still alive, but I want to basically first ask forgiveness to myself, and now I am going to release it, and I want also to forgive that particular person. And believe me, that evening I had the best sleep like a baby. So again, for me, God, our Almighty Creator, usually would give us tests which will basically pain us, which basically hurt us, okay? Because he just wanted to let us know how strong we are. Isn't it? There is a saying that says, God give his a greatest battle, okay, to his strongest soldier, right?
There is
So,
also, it's actually scripture, Dr. Sharon, you know,
yes, yes,
it's
yes,
in the
yes,
book of Corinthians. It says God will, it's in the book of Corinthians, and it's, if I remember correctly, it said that God will never give you something that is too big for you to handle, and with the same measure he will give you the grace to go through it.
true.
It's in the book
That's
of Corinthians. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. We do
And
also have that one in the Quran as well.
mhm,
So for me, that is really very true. Okay.
mhm,
So again, who am I to question? Like
mhm.
I said, when I was diagnosed and the doctor told me, yes, it's confirmed that you have stage 3 breast cancer,
Yeah.
I never questioned him about it.
You never
Who
question.
am I? No, who am I to question him? But instead, I prayed and I said, God, you know that I am a single mom and I still have 2 boys with me who are still studying. And
Mhm.
whatever message you have, why you have given me this cancer, please let me know. That's what I basically have prayed. And surprisingly, with his blessing,
Mhm.
I even now understand why he had given me a profession in the academy.
There you
Because I have not started in the academy. I started with the airlines. I worked
Yeah.
in the hotel industries, you know. And now I understand why. Because honestly, there are students in our college, okay? They might not be my students in a specific course or class, but they come knocking in my office door and says, Doctor, can I talk to you?
Mm. Mm.
And I would even tell them, look, we have this student counselor. Why don't you
Mm.
basically talk to them? And they would even reply me, it's not about them. It's about the trust to whom we can openly share.
That is
And
so.
when I heard that kind
Mm.
of words from my students, I really said, Subhanallah,
Mm.
glory be to God. It,
Mm.
this is a blessing.
Amen. Amen. That is so powerful. And the reason why they trust you, the reason why they come to you, it's because they see your heart. They see that you are someone who they can sit down with and be authentic and be honest with, and be vulnerable, because not everybody wants to be vulnerable, because being vulnerability, it comes, it brings shame to us, but for me, vulnerability, actually, it's about courage and showing up authentically for you, just the way you are. For me, that is being vulnerable. It is a beautiful thing. And yes, they love to talk to you because they know they can be authentic and be real with you because you are authentic yourself. Now, Dr. Sharon, oh, you shared so much, but we still have quite a lot to talk about. You talk so openly. You've mentioned about abuse, physical abuse when you were little, but you also um, talk openly about domestic violence during your marriage, what can you tell a woman or even a man who is in an abusive relationship? Because you have experienced it and you talk openly about this.
I can basically say first things first is be courageous enough, okay, to get out on that particular relationship. You cannot live with toxic people. You cannot live with a toxic environment. And keep in mind, we are created by God with His love. So love yourself. And why do you have to keep yourself in a very toxic people and toxic situation? That is not love. You are actually killing yourself for that.
Mm,
I'm sorry to say, but that is the reality. There is no martyrdom in this world today.
mm,
I'm really, really sorry to say that because we are all created equally.
absolutely.
Regardless of whatever gender, nationality, religion, we are all created equally in God's likeness.
Mm,
So since we are created with His love, love yourself. So
mm,
why do you have to keep yourself in a very toxic people, in a very toxic situation? You can actually go out, live on that kind of situation, live on that kind of people,
mm,
and
mm.
have your own life that you can basically say, I know my self-worth.
Absolutely. Now, since you've touched on that, right? Um, Sometimes, it's easier said than done just to pack up and leave, especially if you've got children involved and all that. And I know you packed up and you took your kids and you won the case, and here you are shepherding your amazing boys and and doing the work that you are doing, serving others, serving the community, and serving yourself as well. What do you think will be the contributing factor then for women who they know that in a domestic, not just women, even men who they're in
Yeah.
abusive homes, but they find it so hard to just call it off? What do you think could be the contributing factor?
Okay. The first things first, let's be realistic. Okay.
Mm,
Finances.
right.
Yes, finances. When one is not capable of finances and
Mm,
totally dependent, okay, to
mm,
other partner in terms of finances, all
mm,
right, that is one of the contributory factor. Another is cultural. It could be something about the parents or their own parents or their in-laws as well. Okay, that is also another factor that you have to reality, right? In reality, that is actually happening. And also, another thing is trying to have a self pity, which is not good, right? And you put fear in your heart and in your mind that I
mm,
am totally dependent to the people, and the worst thing, my dear Maganda,
mm,
okay, which in any other cultural aspect, in
mm,
any nationality, okay,
mm, mm.
people, they care so much of what other people will say to them.
Oh my gosh, you just nailed it.
Yes, that's the reason why no matter how toxic the situation is, how
Mm-hmm.
toxic the people are, they still stay because,
What
oh,
will
keep
my
in
neighbor
mind,
say? What will be this and this say?
yes,
Will they love
specifically,
me?
yes, specifically if the family are having a name in the society,
Right.
right? Okay, they will say, come on, what will the other people tell us,
Think
especially if you
about
are,
it.
especially if your family is politically inclined. What
Mm,
will people tell us? How will people will vote me for the next election when I have a broken family in my own backyard?
mm,
Right? Yeah. So that is one of that is also another factor as to why people are just hesitant, I may say, to basically get out of such a specific situation as well.
Wow. So in the end, we suffer in silence then.
Yes. Our very good friend says silence is a sin, actually.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think, yeah, I think it's something that it's not the easiest way, but also, if it's costing your happiness and all that, then, you know, yeah, it's worth it to reconsider and to rethink. And moving on, I know you do quite a lot of you research and all that. So this question particularly, I want us to talk about you. You are also driving force. And you advocate for environment. That's number one. And when I listen to you, you've got so much different avenues that you carry, different researches that you do and all that. So that's number one. What was the driving force that led you to be an advocate in environment conservation? Okay, hold on to that. And then the other thing is you have also written about, the UAE that integrates in medical tourism for patients without borders, which was published in the Forbes magazine, Le Femme, and, Middle East fashion magazines, and, the View. So, please tell us a bit about that, the coloration of all that, and what was your driving force and what inspired you.
Okay, when it comes into the environment, I was just actually got inspired with my former colleague when I was working in a city tourism office back in my country. So I
Mm-hmm.
was doing my master's degree in public administration, and obviously the graduate school told us basically to have a original research paper, something which is workable, or we use the word action research paper,
Mm-hmm.
meaning when you write a research paper, it does not end in a piece of paper. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be implemented.
Right.
All right. So I was my colleague then, he says, Since you are doing a lot of product development visits to the different villages, why don't you write something about a future ecotourism destination?"
Okay.
Yeah.
That is
So
interesting.
yes. So what I basically did, I took his advice and I went back to the village where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I started doing my research. And that is when I actually found out that that particular village was the last defense of the Japanese during World War II.
Oh,
Yes, and surprisingly, I was able to interview survivors during the World War II.
wow.
Yes, yes. So when I had an ocular inspection, I really went into the mountains, climbed, cross rivers, this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So um, I did the ocular inspection, okay, with the approval of the barangay leader or the village leader,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Mm-hmm.
have some people from the city engineer's office also to assist and help me. Okay, so that is when I actually see how people actually exploited the place, because when they found out that that is the place where the last defense of the Japanese, all in their mind are there are, treasures in there.
Right.
So they started digging illegally, and that is when it destroys the environment. Then I said, this cannot happen at
Not with
all.
me.
This cannot be happen at all. So I coordinated with my friend and my colleague as well, and some of those schools in that particular village. And I wrote my research paper. I shared it to them. They started doing tree planting with their students as well. And the paper has been acknowledged by the city. And it was funded 30 million pesos. And now it
Oh,
is it is one of a tourist ecotourism destination in our area where people can go rock climbing, these things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So it's just a matter that you need to know who are those people who can basically help you put in, everything
Yeah.
what you want in your research paper. And I'm so blessed that I have that.
Yeah.
Another thing is there was this conflict between, some local rebels and the government as well. So when the Philippine Army was able to take over the place, the commanding officer, who was also my military advisor for my doctoral research paper, he came to me and he says, "Can you help the community?" So we went there, we saw the situation, so we divided the work. Okay, I did the ocular inspection for the ecotourism. My colleague did a model farm, okay, model farming for the locals. And there was also some medical mission as well. Yes, and we are the only college in the Philippines during the time that was given a recognition by the Philippine Army because of our contribution to the community.
That is,
Yes. So now that basically, how do you call this? Encourages me more.
yeah.
Um, to be frank with you, I had some sort of inheritance from my family, a farm.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so it has now some fruit trees in there, and I'm thinking that if I'm going to retire, I don't want to retire at 60. I want to retire at 55 because
Oh,
I know I
okay.
can still, yeah, I know I can still do more. I want to go back in the Philippines, especially in my city. I want to develop my farm into a sort of a medical farm, wherein I want to build some house there. Okay, it's like a mini hotel where I will be catering cancer patients and survivors, especially cancer patients who are coming from the different far places, who come to the city to do their treatment. So instead of them going back immediately and then coming back again for the treatment, why don't they stay in my farm? I can
Mm-hmm.
offer them organic vegetable. That's the reason why I'm thinking that maybe perhaps if this coming summer vacation, since I cannot go, I cannot travel, I'm thinking of studying culinary.
Okay.
Yeah, because my purpose there is I'm going to use my own organic product in the farm
Yes.
and serve
Yeah.
it to the cancer patient that I have in my farm. So
That
that's
is wonderful.
still that's still about my advocacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
so powerful. And I know you have also contributed in several books. Please share a little bit
Um,
about that.
Yeah, regarding the Patients Without Borders, actually, I just have written a one-page article in there, um,
Okay.
talking about a medical tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in the history, medical tourism is not new. It's not new. It all started in the ancient Greek, right? They visit
Yes.
temples, right? They visit temples and
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
this kind of medication. But today, yes, it has been acknowledged. In fact, medical tourism is very successful in Asia, South Africa, okay, and even in Europe as well.
Okay.
So here in UAE, they're actually offering it because the hospital where I was doing my treatment, they are
Mm-hmm.
they are offering medical tourism. They offer visa, they can arrange hotel for you, that is. So I just want to share that good news to everyone. That's the reason
Wow.
why, yes, yeah, because not all people basically know that in here in UAE they are now offering medical tourism. The country is offering medical tourism actually.
You see,
Yes,
I didn't know about that, Dr. Sharon.
yes, yes,
So,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
so thank you for sharing that because I know it will also encourage, it will, give hope to someone who is, in that season in their life, Wow, 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 wow. What can I say? What can I say, Dr. Sharon? Oh,
You have just to keep in mind, my dear, that again, this is something which is we all do believe. Okay, a knowledge is not a knowledge when you are not going to share it.
absolutely.
A knowledge is a gift which is given to us by our Almighty Creator. Do not
Mm-hmm,
keep it by yourself.
mm-hmm.
Share it, and that is when it becomes really a true knowledge, an essence of knowledge.
Yes, I always say that it's through sharing our stories that we can learn from one another. Absolutely. I agree 100% with you. What will be your last words to all of us?
To all of us,
Yes.
yes, uh, especially now in this pandemic time. I may say, my dear Ganda, that this pandemic is something that really God has planned. Because for so many years, we people, we become so much preoccupied on how we are going to earn a living, how we're going to have millions in our
How much
banks.
money can I make? How
Yes,
many deals
uh,
can I close? Where am I
yes,
going for
success.
holiday? Which
True, true.
it's just selfish. Do you see that? It's about me, 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 me. Where am I doing this? You
Yeah.
said
So,
something so poignant right here.
so I believe the pandemic is really God's plan so that He wants all of us to contemplate and meditate and basically to think about, hey, my dear children, please
Come
think also
back.
about yourself. What is going on with you? It's not all about the money. It's not all about the education in a highly accredited university, but it's about you and how you actually going to share my love to other people as well.
Love your neighbor.
Mm.
Oh,
That's true. That's true. That's really very true. It's
mm,
all about self-reflection. It's all about self-reflection. Self-reflection with all honesty. I'm going to use the word in that because there are people who do self-reflection for the sake of doing it.
mm,
But doing it with honesty, as you said, the word being authentic to your own self is really
absolutely.
very important.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that is my last word for everyone.
Wow, wow, wow. Dr. Sharon, my karembo. In Kenya, in
Mhm.
Kiswahili,
Mhm.
maganda. We say karembo, mrembo. Yeah,
Karembo. Yeah.
mrembo. Yes, means
Yes.
beauty, beautiful. You are my karembo. You are my mrembo. You are my.
You are my maganda. Yes.
What a conversation, Dr. Sharon. I mean, you are walking the talk. When I saw you the first day, when I heard you speak, I remember we had a quick one-to-one conversation, during this summit together last year. And
Yeah, I remember. I love your dress.
I could feel your spirit. I could feel how honest and authentic you are, how you show up just the way you are. It's a very rare, it's very rare. So my prayer for you is that God will continue to use you so that you can be a voice and share, the knowledge that He has impacted you with His own children. Thank you so much for joining me on Fauza's Diary on this spectacular conversation. And I am so thankful that you have shared honestly and authentically, if that's an English word. Maybe we should say it in Tagalog or in Kiswahili. Honestly, I am so grateful. So grateful.
Maraming salamat, which means thank you so much, my dear Maganda. And I also pray for you that this avenue that you have for a video diary, God will continuously bless you so that you can also touch other people's life as well.
Amen. And we agree and seal it. Amen.
Yes, amen.
Well, and for you, my viewers, I want to say that Dr. Sharon emphasis has been wherever you are, whatever season it is. I mean, everybody is on a different path, independent of COVID-19. There is still some other things that each individual is facing on their own, right? Which we will not even know because the news are just being poured about COVID and vaccines and this and all that and all. There is just a lot of noise. Please, Dr. Sharon, she's reminding us to be still, love yourself, forgive yourself, be honest with yourself, have real conversations with yourselves. Fill your cup, because your cup, if it's empty, you cannot pour. Well, I'm going to leave you with that. As usual, if you haven't gotten a copy of my book, Transform Fear into Freedom, I want to encourage you to do so because there is just so much of information. And in every chapter, at the end, I'm leaving you with 2 questions that you need to be authentic and be honest with yourself and have those uncomfortable conversations with yourself. Okay? Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. You just never know who might need this inspiration from Dr. Sharon. Follow her on her social media. She's got so much, I call it a toolkit that she's been sharing on her socials. They are below this conversation. So just go and visit her and say hello. Talk to her. Whatever you are going through, talk to her. She's one woman that I know she's always ready to serve. Stay safe, and I will see you soon with yet another inspiring conversation on Fauza's Diary. See you soon.